Women are the most impacted by climate change and the least resilient to climate change. In India, how in the Chipko movement, we've seen women actually coming out of their home. They came out and hugged trees to protect forests, who have come out from environmental movements and been leaders actually. Have also been very strong feminists who have been fighting to save not just the environment but also fighting a strong battle against patriarchy in their own right, I believe. If you look at the whole issue of climate change, one has always clearly seen that women are the most impacted by climate change and the least resilient to climate change because of the way their roles have been structured in the society historically. So the patriarchal roles that have been set aside for women are to be blamed for the way climate change impacts them differently. Now, if you look at it, the whole capitalist regime on which this whole growth-based development model is basically, being pushed through, in that whole scheme of things, the mindset is very, very similar. The model, the way environment is exploited or damaged or violated in the capitalist-based growth model is very similar to how women face violence or face discrimination in a patriarchal system. So there's a lot of similarity. Coming to climate change and women, as we know, women are the most impacted. There's a very strong connect between women, natural resources, the environment that they live in, and the livelihoods that they depend on, which are mostly based on natural resources like forest, water, land, agriculture in particular. So there's a very strong interconnectedness between all these aspects. And we have seen that if you look at the history of environmental movements in any country, whether it's the environmental movement by Wangari Maathai in Kenya, or if you look at the Chipko movement in India, all of these have been strongly kind of rooted in ecofeminism, wherein women have spearheaded or led the whole movement. We've seen in India how in the Chipko movement we've seen women actually coming out of their homes, indigenous women and women who depended on forests for their lives and livelihoods. They came out and hugged trees to protect forests because there was this strong sense of interconnectedness with nature, with environment, with forests. Hence the whole thing to come out and fight to protect it. And if you look at any environmental movement in this country, whether you look at it in the central Indian belt where you find communities fighting against fossil fuel based coal mines, in forested areas, you find that women are at the forefront of that movement. And the reason why women are at the forefront of that movement is because when an extractive industry comes in, and they pose a threat to the lives, livelihoods, and resources of communities, women bear the brunt the most. This comes from the fact that women's roles have also historically been assigned in a particular way, or women's roles have been, it's a mindset issue, right? So I think that this whole connect of capitalism, patriarchy, women, exploitation of environment and natural resources is the interconnectedness of all of this. Within this space of interconnectedness is where actually the whole concept or the value of ecofeminism kind of is brought forth in a sense. Again, if you look at how different movements in the country, whether it's been, people fighting for water rights, like whether it's been in Plachimada, where, you've seen women at the forefront of that battle. Somewhere, because their roles have been such that, the protection of their water resources or water sources has been key to women. Of course, there are questions on, whether women need to continue this role of nurturing, or, this whole division of labor that exists is totally kind of skewed, in favor of men, which in itself is like, should women continue to play that nurturing role? And in playing that nurturing role, should they protect water resources or forest resources? That's a question, that's an important question to be answered. But if you look at the ground reality, this is how these roles are divided, and that's where you find women actually playing an active and important role. Again, if you look at movements across the country, whether it's been the Narmada Bachao Andolan, or whether if you look at the Niyamgiri struggle, you will find that that in all these struggles, you will find that most of these struggles were strong and had a very strong voice when women joined those struggles and spearheaded that movement. Somewhere this whole interconnectedness and the strength that comes from that interconnectedness in questioning the current capitalist-led growth paradigm is something that has been at the core of this ecofeminism, and which I think is at the core of every movement that has succeeded in this country. You have, if you take any people's movement in this country, the movements where women, even if you look at the anti-nuclear movement in Kudamkulam, you've seen fisher women actually coming out in large numbers and being at the forefront of that fight. So no matter which issue or which environmental movement you look at in this country, we've had women actually spearheading the fight and the movement from the front, which is why we find that those movements have also to a large extent been very, very successful, especially the movements that have won, and we have no dearth of people like me, whether it's been Medha Patkar or Aruna Roy, or Vandana Shiva, or all those people who have come out from environmental movements and been leaders actually have also been very strong feminists who have been fighting to save not just the environment, but also fighting a strong battle against patriarchy in their own right, I believe.